We're live.
Okay. So you will say something, or I start the
You lead it.
meeting now?
You lead in, Christa. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Oh, what a power I have. And am I now host also again? Yes, I can change. Okay, good afternoon, everyone from everywhere in the world. I wish you all well. I'm here today with my co-moderator. It's the first time that I have a co-moderator. I'm very pleased with Philippe Fierens also. But before we start, I would like to encourage you to take your smartphone and go to the website Poll Everywhere or pollev.com, and you need to use the password, my full name, so Christa Sys 665, to give your opinion on 4 questions. And if you have questions for our discussants that we have here this afternoon, you can add them in the last question, and we will tackle them at the end of the presentation. You will see the link to the website and the code that you need to bring into each time on the top of the slide. So don't panic if I move to the next slide. So good afternoon, everyone. We are here at the Nextgen roundtable. We chose the topic Agile and Agility, skills and competences of the future. And as I already said to you, I welcome you from Philippe Fierens' side and myself. We don't want to waste a lot of time on who we are, but I'm a professor at the University of Antwerp. So you see my lovely background, and in a previous recording, somebody was joking with the nice air in Antwerp. But at this moment, if I look outside my window, it is a very blue, nice sky and a sunny day today. I'm a professor transport economist, maritime economist, and holder of the BNP Paribas Chair Transport, Logistics and Ports. But we added our link to the LinkedIn profile via the QR code, and you can scan it, and then you will know everything about myself. I will give the word to my co-moderator, and then we will continue to the first question. Philippe, the word is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philip. Thank you, Christa, for introducing us. I'm glad to be your co-moderator today, which is the first time that we do it this way. Normally, I'm live in your classroom, something like that. So in a very short nutshell, who am I? My name is Philip. I am the managing director of Execo, an executive search and recruitment company specialized in transport logistics only, which means after 28 years within the business, where I've been managing companies in transport logistics, in forwarding, in handling, in port operations, I decided to create my own company, to become an entrepreneur and to focus on the industry that I know quite well, which is transport and logistics within Belgium only. This is my background, and I'm pleased to be here with Christa today, and hope you will have a good time.
Thank you very much. So then we go for the test to see whether this will work and that people are able to answer on this question, because we want to know first, before we start, if you're actually acquainted with the words Agile and Agility. So the floor is yours to answer, and if you agree with an answer of somebody else, you don't need to type it again. You can click on it so that you like that answer. If just somebody could give me an idea that it is working. Is it? You still see my slides?
You see your whole screen.
You see the whole screen again. I just want to see if my poll is, because we tested it and it was working, and now I don't see any answers coming. The questions are active. Yes, it's coming. Okay, it's working well. Thank you, technology. So we see answers coming. And as I told you, if you agree with respect to that, you can click on it
Wonderful. Agility is our ability to respond to change. Adaptability, flexibility, being able to continuously adapt. Methodology and mindset, flexibility. A lot of people seem to like the agility is our ability to respond to change.
Mhm.
But then the question is to all people here following us, what is being agile? And where do we see the difference between being agile or acting agile, or shall a company be agile, or can people be agile? So a lot of answers come up like adaptability, flexibility, adapt to continuous changing environment. I believe most of these things go more into the direction of agility. I still don't really see too much people answering to what is being agile and where's the difference between agile and agility.
So then we have chosen a very good topic, Philippe.
I believe so. Because I mean, everybody has the agility to think about this question, but maybe we aren't agile enough to being able to continuously adapt to a changing environment. Maybe it's a good thing to talk just in between. Do we believe people can have an agility within a company when the company is not agile? Imagine you are open to adapt yourself, to continuous learning, whatever. Should the company be thinking the same way? Do you think you can act agility when your company is not open to it? Or what happens if your company is open and you are not? I'm just throwing up some questions here.
That's a very good. Maybe I can invite then one person to add the answer yes and no, because I don't have as quickly as possible now an extra question, but then we can vote on that. So if just somebody types in the yes and then second time the no, then we can start voting on the yes and the no, responding on the question that Philippe raised with respect to your
maybe, ladies and gentlemen, we start with the
yourself and this and the business that you're in.
Yeah.
So one said already yes, you can.
Yeah. Another yes.
You can vote. Yeah, you can uplift the answer. Right? So you don't need to type it again. So yeah. The second one already said yes. I have no idea with how many people we are, but the first impression, Philippe, is that the other person saying yes. If you're ready, you can say to me if I need to move to the next slide.
No, being able to continue. Okay. What surprises me is a lot of people seem to really know what agility is like, being open, having an open mind, ready to change. The question is talking about our topic being the breakbulk market. Is the market already agile enough to host the agility of the people? Which means maybe the market is just acting in the same way for the last 30, 40 years. And there is maybe agility within the people, but is the market really open to change the way of thinking? Is the market open to change the way of working? Do we need the market first to be open before the people will, or will the people be able to drive the change in the market?
If I might chime in, Philippe, one of the things that I think is important with the agility concept is speed and being able to adjust quickly. And I think that's one of the areas where, in breakbulk, we really struggle is, individuals may have, and I've struggled with this myself at times, you may have ideas and you may have things that you want to do or implement, and you're able to do it within the company, but up to a point, if the company is not willing to support you or to implement the things that you want to do. So I think that's where maybe the difference comes in, where it is possible to be agile within a company that maybe is not as quickly moving as you are, but you may get to a point where there's sort of a cap. You can only do so much before, you can do no more. Mm-hmm. But as an industry overall, I think we've been very slow to develop new ideas.
Mhm. I think we can divide the breakbulk market into the new things that came up and the former things, like the iron and steel, the coil market, whatever. I believe, if we are honest, the way the breakbulk is being managed must be 40, 50 years old already.
Yeah.
The way that the steel, the coils, everything was done is originating from the early 70s, almost 50 years. If we look at the way that the breakbulk market reacted on the renewable energy, how the wind turbines and everything are being loaded, being managed, I think this is a proof of agility that was to be found within the way the people were thinking, because they needed to adapt vessels, they needed to adapt cranes, which I believe is one of the examples, but maybe one of the only examples there is of the market being agile and the people having the agility to change to a new process, to a new way of handling and doing the real business as it is. But on the other way, looking at iron, steel, whatever, must be 40, 50 years that nothing has changed in this market. And will the market ever be able, will the market ever be ready to change? I would also love to hear your ideas about that.
I'm also curious to hear the answer on Laura, because if I understood, she is in the iron, in the steel industry. I will lock the poll first for this question, so that you cannot change your answers anymore. There was nobody, Philippe, who answered no, just to give you as a response. And for the audience, so who we have here this afternoon in our discussion is 4 persons, because I think the 5th person did not yet arrive, as far as I know. Anish, no reaction, are actually the ones who were selected within the call for 40 under 40. So we welcome Justin Miller, Laura De Wel, Valentine Carlan, and I cannot see your full name, Anna, but Anna is from Poland. You will find a kind of business card at the end of the presentation. Maybe, Philippe, I give the word back to you to say first what
I love to see
the definitions of agile and agility.
Okay, I believe we can start with the real beginning. Agile is the methodology that is being used, and I think the origin comes from a software development life cycle. That's the origin where really the way of the new methodology, the model was made within companies, within processes, within whatever. So the one to shift the mindset to deliver something new. So the company, the market, the whatever industry you are in should be agile first of all. And I believe that the example I just gave with the renewable energy, the wind turbines and everything, that market, that methodology, the way of thinking has proven that the market was agile. Absolutely. The agility is the mindset that the people have to have or have to drive to be open to do it. I just saw in, some answers that the agility is the way that people are open to respond to changes. Yeah, but also agility is the way that people should not only respond, but should also drive changes. Mm-hmm. If agility is something that maybe should be really coming from the inside of people, saying, you know what, we have to think in a new way. We have to stop doing what we always did because we know we will always have the same outcome. But maybe with new things coming up, new market, new whatever things to ship to whatever, maybe we should just step out of the history and go back to a new way of thinking. So I think the methodology versus the mindset, these are the two. I believe they must be linked to each other. You can't drive agility and people can't have the good ideas and follow the good ideas if the market is not ready to it. The question is, will every market ever be ready to it? Coming back again to the iron and steel market, will this ever be a changing market? Will that market drive the methodology? Will they ever change it? I think people can react and can be open to changes. But if the market is flat, could we maybe old-fashioned? I believe the people will not show too much agility.
Maybe we can give the word to Laura to hear her
Would love, yes. I see her
opinion.
knocking, shaking from time to time, so Laura, please.
Well, where I'm working, we're mostly dealing with the practical parts of the shipments of steel. We're looking at insurance and we're looking at the cargo quality actually. So I don't have a lot of view on the market as such. I know the practical parts, all the paperwork associated, it's all remained the same for the last 20 or maybe even more years. So this, I know it's still huge amounts of made receipts and clauses and paperwork being cheated and paperwork being remade so that it suits everybody. So that's not the most practical way of dealing with these things. New things that I have seen is, for example, also a project that we are working on is shipments of breakbulk on container vessels. This is something completely new. And in the company where I work for, we're mostly calculating feasibility. Can it be shipped on board? How can it be shipped? Can it be safely shipped from one side of the ocean to the other? This is an entirely new way of thinking, new way of shipping, because a container vessel is not built like a general cargo vessel or a bulk carrier. So you need to completely rethink the shipment actually from a practical point of view. And then I'm not talking paperwork, just.
Okay. I don't know if the others would like to add something to it.
Anybody else?
Valentine?
Yeah, I would like to add here something. I fully agree with what Justin said. I think speed it's indeed a key characteristic of being agile here. And if we all know, speed is measured, distance over time. But instead of measuring speed and agility, we shouldn't use distance, but we should use here maybe the changes that are happening in the sector over the time. And as Laura said, there have been tremendous changes that are happening. Although the breakbulk sector is looked at as a conservative sector, but the IT tools that are used, the data that is used from different sources, and how this is getting integrated nowadays to provide better services, I would say that the breakbulk sector is getting up to speed and being more agile, more and more agile in the last time.
Okay, good. Anna, do you want to say something with respect to that?
Yes. Now when I'm thinking about this is I fully agree, because in our everyday business we are doing. But looking in the past, we have in Gdynia, for instance, 2 container terminals who have own container freight stations or warehouses, more bigger or smaller. This is different than in West Europe. And one of the terminal was not missed the agility and had no agile, to come up with innovations, with investitions, and now they are part of cargos which can be handled only by the container terminal opposite on the other harbor. So they missed their chance because of lack of this topic which we are talking about.
So it's interesting to talk about. Philippe, do you want to add something, or I move to the next slide?
No, I think we can move to the next slide.
I have one comment, Philippe, before we move on. You talked about the wind cargo segment, and I thought that was very interesting, because I did observe as well that the way that developed was a lot faster than we've typically seen. But when you look back, say 3 or 4 years, it is one of the only places where there was sort of a bright spot in terms of cargo supply for the breakbulk market. So when you parallel that with things like steel and pipe and all these other types of things, I mean, there simply wasn't the impetus for people to get creative to compete. Whereas when you have a company like Vestas coming out and saying, I have this many projects on the books and schedule is very important, you saw all these creative ideas coming out from the carriers and from the freight forwarders and all the different elements of the supply chain to satisfy the requirement of the customer and to keep the projects on schedule. And I think they paid a little bit of a premium for it. I mean, I don't think it's you know, by any means anywhere close to what it was like 13 years ago for freight, but it is paying better than steel and pipe and things like that. So I think that the suppliers and the expansion in the renewable market really challenge the industry to get a little bit more creative than it typically has in the past.
Okay,
Thanks, Justin.
thank you.
Fully agree with you. Absolutely. And it's also one of the things that, as I said, I just had the same. It is the first change and adaptation of the people's way of thinking and of the market and of the vessel operators and of the port operators. All of them suddenly acted a good way of agility to open up to a new way of thinking. And I think that's the only thing that was a success in the entire change. Absolutely positive and visible. And only in the last 3 to 4 years maximum. Absolutely correct.
So when Philippe and I were preparing this, to moderate actually live in March, but now online, we are open and flexible to do that, isn't it, Philippe? I must say to the audience, I have no idea with how many persons we are, so I cannot see that. If you raise your hand or something, I can neither see that. So make a lot of noise, I would say then, or otherwise we come back to you at the end. But we divided the topic of the rest of the discussion in threefold. We would like to talk about maybe there's a gap in skills, how to develop then new skills and competences. With respect, we would like to drill down a little bit in tech adaptation. Are we open for it? The last item is then, okay, we aim achieving business growth through employee investment, but also the aspect of training and support. So those are the three topics that we will tackle in the following slides, but we would like to hear the responses of the discussants that we have here. So for that reason, I searched a very nice cartoon to show everyone has an idea about what the gap of skills or the skills gap is. And we are then rather curious, how do you see youngsters, because I'm a dinosaur, so no longer the 40, under 40, although my mindset says yes, but it isn't. So on the next, it's open normally so that you can add skills needed. I will control that while Philippe will tackle with the discussants, okay, what did you put forward? Because Anna, Laura, and also Valentine and Justin also already gave an idea about the skills that are needed. But in the meantime, the persons can respond to it. And
Right,
I see that
Christa.
some persons are typing, so they will come. Philippe, yeah.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are waiting. What do you believe? Which skills are needed to have a change being driven in our market now? Communication. Communication, do we mean personal communication? Do we mean the way IT is being driven? Because IT is also a way that we gather information, we communicate with each other, we collaborate with each other. Do we need an improvement in our communication, in the way of communication? Anybody else? Other skills?
So you can complete or fine-tune the answer, but also maybe others.
Yeah. Team communication. Wow. I like the way, by the way, it's presented. Communication, team communication, digitalization, building, team building, I guess.
Yeah, I think yes. Yeah. Computer. So, yeah.
Computer. Wow.
Open-mindedness.
Computer, team, digital, innovation, open-minded, inclusion, computer. So a lot of this, the skills seem to go to the IT direction.
Yeah, apparently
We people communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Open-mindedness, perfect. Sharing, communicating, sharing, adapting, being collaborative, being
open, efficient,
being open.
Collaborative, yeah. Ecosystem thinking, good.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, people, for sharing this, because I like the way.
Yeah, I will block it. I will block it because it's too nice now. And then the team building is in the middle. So yeah. Oh no, I think Philippe, we can drill down a little bit on aspects, like you said, the communication. So maybe one of our discussants can respond on that.
Anybody some feedback about communication and where we believe we can maybe use our agility, our brains to change the way we communicate? Are we too old-fashioned? Do we still use old-fashioned ways of communicating? And maybe the WhatsApp into our business to have an easy, fast communication? Is this the future? Anybody like Laura, Anna, Valentine, Justin? Suggestions, any changes that you saw in the last couple of months?
I mean, COVID has been a real catalyst here for, I think, forcing us to change the way that we communicate. And there's certain types of programs that we're using now within our company that we talked about for years that we just never implemented because the need wasn't there, you know, when we were seeing each other face to face every day. I think it also sort of prove the model that you don't need to necessarily sit in an office next to somebody all the time to be productive. It may be something that it seems simple, but I think it's for us at least, it's been very interesting to see how it develops. And actually, I think our communication is even better now in a COVID environment because it forces us to be a little more thoughtful about how we communicate.
Okay, top, Justin, to elaborate a little bit upon that. But I see also that Anish arrived, and he is also one of the 40 under 40. So welcome. You raised your hand. I have no idea. I hope that the organizer helps us now to give the word to you. Maybe just with your microphone on, that you can talk, Anish. I don't hear anything. I don't know if...
I'm in the panel list now, having a look. There are 22 participants over there.
Okay. 29 I have. That's maybe with us included. Then. So I will have a look and see if I found... attendees. Yeah, I see now. Anish, so you allowed to talk? I allowed you to talk now, Anish.
Good
Can you
evening to
try
everyone.
it? Yes, I think I hear you.
Good evening to everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you can.
Fantastic. Okay, a quick introduction. I am Anish and I'm from Dubai. I'm an Indian. Living in Dubai, I head a company called Flexigistic, and this is the largest 3PL company in the Middle East with more than 1 million square meter area for 3PL and the usual break bulk and freight forwarding services. With regards to the point on the communication skill, I think it has changed a lot. And with the pandemic time, my personal experience is that we have improved our communication and we have efficiently improved our communication in the shipping and logistics, because I have seen, in a city like Dubai or any busy city where people spend a lot of their time in terms of traveling from one location to another location. With this pandemic time, this working from home systems and other things that we have adopted, such as video conferencing and everything, people are efficiently giving more time to the work and not completely spending their time on the road and not being tired at the end of the day. Also able to sleep peacefully, spend more time with the family members. So what happens is all this personal life advantage actually started impacting big time in the work day-to-day life as well. So even at 9 o'clock in the night, when you are asking people to do certain work, you would see the productivity there. It has improved a lot. But one point I would like to mention here, when we talk about the mode of communication with the advanced technology and the social media such as WhatsApp and all other things which has come up well, I think that is sometimes a bit risky, and especially when you look at our field of working, which is the break bulk or sort of project cargo, where maybe certain things are confirmed a very quick mode or quick way to through the social media and other mode of communication, but that can lead a big time risk for the organization. So that's why I always insist that if it is a very important factor, it is always better to draft and proper email with the terms and condition, and then you proceed with, yes, no, any changes on the projects. So that's my idea, overall on this particular topic.
Okay, thank you for your intervention. Philippe, do you want to respond to that? In the meantime, I will try some technical things like lowering the hands, etc.
No, I believe, Christa, we just have to look at our time schedule too. It's now like 15:33. So indeed, tech adoption. Let's move to that. The tech adoption curve, maybe, Christa.
So what I showed here on this slide is actually on the left-hand side, the Gartner Hype Cycle for Emerging Technologies 2019. So we all do know about the 5 stages, and then the true of disillusion. So Valentine is also a specialist in blockchain. He might respond immediately after. And how to avoid that. And in break bulk, I heard it in the comment of Justin earlier, but also on his slide, that we need to go to more digitalization into it. But it is not only about talking that we need to do it, we need to do something. And that's then the right-hand side that I'm very curious to know from the current generation and the coming generation in the break bulk sector. How is your adaptation? And there is a technology adaptation curve. You see the stages also where you see that, for instance, there's the category that is the innovators. You have then the early adopters, and then you have the early majority and the late majority. And I think Justin mentioned also in his slide that the breakbulk sector is lagging behind. So not immediately the innovators. So they definitely need to have a look at it. So I think, Philippe, that we can give the word to maybe Justin and Valentine, but also to the ladies, maybe to respond on that, how they would describe their adaptation curve.
Indeed, anybody open? Because I believe the really adaptation is honestly what we missed in the last decades, and what we look forward to with people 40 under 40 like they are here. We need you to be more open to adaptation than ever in the past. So Anna, Valentine, any feedback to comment on?
Yeah, I would like to give a comment here, and what we see from the technical side, at least, that there is a wide variety of technologies that are put on a plate to the stakeholders. Look, we have that technology in blockchain that they can be used. We have that application that makes use of artificial intelligence, of machine learning, Internet of Things. But most of the time it remains like that. It's not picked up immediately by the sector. And there are several reasons for that. And immediately that innovation of that technology goes in the through of disillusionment there. And the reasons that are for this is, first of all, the lack of resources that the players, the stakeholders, they don't have to invest or to experiment with these new technologies. If they have the resources, most of the time they don't see the immediate benefits. They don't have the tools. They don't have the knowledge immediately to see what is the benefit of using a blockchain technology, of artificial intelligence tool. But also it's difficult for them while they are entangled, let's say, in a day-by-day business, to think strategically there. What is an artificial intelligence-based solution that is useful for me? Is it mostly used for planning, or is it, and that's completely a different solution that would be there, an artificial intelligence-based solution that would do, I don't know, data entry or data recognition. So that is a difficulty for companies to, first of all, define what are solutions based on the technologies that are appearing. That would really help my business here. And I would like to give you again the example of blockchain. A blockchain was put forward as being the new disruption in the sector, and that everybody will make use of this technology. But already this year, last year, we didn't hear that much about it. And yeah, blockchain in general, okay, it's an interesting solution or technology to look at, but what are concrete solutions that makes use of this technology? And there, through our research, we saw that the most solutions are applied here for the transfer of official documents. There are the most initiative that take up, and these are being now developed somehow in a back end, in a layer where we don't see it, and not much advertising it's made for, but steps are being taken and things are being developed there. So I would say that technology, first of all, you need to define solutions. You need to define concrete cases, quantify the benefits of those cases, and then innovators, early adopters, and then the wide majority will prove whether that solution is useful or not by taking up to it.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Valentine, because indeed it comes also with respect to a cost, and there's not immediately willingness to pay, and benefits are not immediately seen within the sector, etc. So, but I hope that it is not with respect to talking, but if you come to the question later on, how will the breakbulk look like 2040, 2050, that we see some reactions with respect to that. Anyone else who would like to respond on that?
Maybe, Christa, we should just have a look at also the next slides, because I already saw good questions and answers coming up. So
okay.
I should spend enough time to answer the questions and answers. Yes.
Yeah. So the third topic is about achieving business growth. So here, particularly in the breakbulk sector then, and then we think, okay, what is then needed with respect to training to grow? And of course, if you have a look at this book, the book was the 100-year life, some might know. If you look to the letter next to it, the persons who were born in 2007 will maybe become 103 years old. So how will you look then to your job? And if we have a look and taking that into account that we are living longer and being more disrupted, so the slide was made before Corona crisis actually, how will we reorganize? Because normally we have a trajectory of education, career, and retirement. Most likely it will change to education followed by a year of traveling around the world, if it was allowed, and then come to working. After some years we change job, and not the frogs, because you might know if it goes very gradually, the heating of the water, the frogs stay into it. If it is suddenly, then they jump out of it. And that's a little bit the thing, how things might change. So for that reason, we are very curious to hear from the audience also, what are actually your thoughts with respect to that, and how will the breakbulk sector look like in 2030 and 2050? While people are actually responding, Philippe, maybe you can tackle already one question that you have seen. I have asked one person if he would come live, and another person if he could elaborate in a text message. But maybe you see more questions. And there's somebody.
I would just like to come back to for the audience on the previous slide. I think the disruption already started. As an executive search specialist, I can tell you, I've never seen so many people they've been studying till they're 23, 24. They've been 20 years in business, and at the age of 43, 45, they decided I'm going to study something else. They are ready at 48 and they start for another 20 years. I believe this is really something I see right now. I see a lot of people taking sabbaticals. Would this be the future? And the second thing is, would that be the right moment to adapt the agility, the way of thinking, to have these changes in the breakbulk sector? So what are the thoughts now about the breakbulk? How will it look like? Innovative. I would love to know who really answered innovative. I love, as Justin and I said before, what we see now in the last couple of years. Yes, it was innovative, but the decades before really wasn't. Structured, integrated, consolidated, competitive. Competitive, yes. Lovely answer. Sustainable. How are we all going to find solutions to have a sustainable, innovative, structured, integrated way at a competitive rate? If maybe the more we invest into adaptation, the more the cost will grow. Will we be competitive at that moment?
Yeah, and I would like to give the word to Ars also. So I unmuted Ars so he can talk live. And then also to Robert Vermetten, I will also give him then shortly the floor. So Ars, the floor is yours, the cloud is yours. Ars, I unmuted you. Ask to unmute. Otherwise, Robert, I will have a look at Robert, allowed to talk. So Robert, you're allowed to talk.
Yeah.
I thought that we heard somebody. Robert, yes, ask to unmute. Your mic is not on, the same at us. Because the reaction of Robert was how to get on the phone, missing skills.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. No, I just had one remark about the skills because I was not able to put a remark. I'm not such a digital guy as everybody seems to be. But in my personal opinion, I think it's very important not to forget amongst the skills that is a proficiency to do the job. That is to be able to really handle out of gauge cargo, not to have one scenario, but to have multiple scenarios. I mean, every scenario you have in mind, it will have to change for reasons beyond your control. And if you then have to check into your computer systems, well, you're completely out because it will not work. And I'm missing in this discussion the real skills. Of course, I'm a more old-fashioned guy, but I mean, without these skills, even a niche player will be out, and what will be left, that is only structured, concentrated, globalized trade and model-oriented production. So to have less breakbulk on one hand, and on the other hand, huge modules, which will need semi-submersible vessels and really very special construction systems. So I think this is a very important observation which we have to take in mind when we look at future.
Yeah. But I think, Robert, we cannot longer say that because we showed agility, if I recall it correctly, to answer now and to type anyway your question and answer live. So Philippe, would you like to respond to that? In the meantime, I think I will lock the answers so that we can have a discussion then. Yeah.
And I would also like to perhaps log the answers. On the other way, Robert, I think you also launched another question before about the 4PL, will it ever be? So maybe you can explain a little bit more about that.
Yes, when I saw the graphic diagram, they were only speaking about IT solutions. When I saw the Gardner graph, which is of course completely correct, but this Gardner graph is not applying to breakbulk. I mean, we must get down to earth. I mean, we have to move a backup roll of 150 tons. You need a 12 or a 16 axle railway. You need to take care for the permits. You need to organize a transshipment. You organize a direct delivery. You must charter a coaster. You must charter the vessel. These are all down to earth things where you cannot use Internet of Things or global connectivity or next port systems. No, you just read guys able to do the job. And when I see the system, it looks like the idea is that we are going to make a 4PL presentation. We have nothing, just a computer system, and we just an intelligent IT system. We will manage breakbulk. And unfortunately, I don't think this is the future. This is not realistic. It will not work. These are not the only skills needed.
Okay. I will unmute. Mute. Okay. But sometimes it starts with small things. If I had a look at Lineas here in Belgium, they started to give their employers a device on really on the operations to get acquainted with new technology, and they found quite some opportunities with respect to damage to the cargo, etc. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's something that I don't see yet, or a lot of best practices shared in the sector. So I think we need to try to find ways, what is really needed for the breakbulk sector, and how can an IT tool, because indeed there's quite a jungle of possibilities.
I've seen one application which is very interesting in the course of breakbulk. This is how to say, to multiply the making of reserves. There is a software which is available, which you can use for checking for reserves, where all parties concerned will receive a complete report from the field, from the moment, from the surveyor, where you can have an interactive exchange as to the ascertainment of the damages. And this is a very very great gain in time. And this is a very good system, for instance. This is a very useful application. Of course, I'm not talking about project logistics, which are used by the engineering companies, but this is not the scope we are discussing, of course.
No, it is not. I can mute you because can you turn your microphone, Robert?
Yeah.
And then I come to Philippe to have a look, because I see that time flies. We should maybe have had more time, because I really like the discussion also, and I feel a little bit like BBC with the duo playing together with Philippe and discuss these things here in a dynamic way instead of pre-recording. Philippe, have you had a look to the answers? I tried to scroll again.
I love to see. I just saw an answer by Zeppelins. Honestly, I just go back into the breakbulk, but not in the shipping industry, but in the airline industry. And I can tell you the idea of Zeppelins has already been launched. I think it was 2006, 2007. And Boeing already made the idea of having Zeppelins taking huge cargo out of gauge cargo and so on to fly. Just a couple of 40, 50 tons, I think they could take at once with Zeppelin. So the Zeppelin is lovely. More vocal about its added value. 2030 will not be a long time, of course, 10 years, sorry. 2050, development in green, low carbon vessels. I think that will be done. But the other way that we need to be done is, and then we go back to the beginning, I think there's a lot about communication. I think about transparency. I think about going back to the idea, Agile and Agility. The market should show the methodology to change, and the people should show the agility, the readiness to think in a different way. And then we will need all these actors, being modularization, change of vessels, change of industry, transparent communication, open communication, these kind of things. So I believe that the answers we saw now really prove the need for an open window, that people take off the normal helmet and say, you know, we should look bright open arms and embrace the future with the new way of thinking.
I fully agree with you, Philippe. In the meantime, I was showing the type of business cards together with the QR code for the ones below 40 that are attending this session here this afternoon. After the name, you see their nationality and where they are located, and how they responded on the questions with respect to skill of the future and future of breakbulk. So here we have the one of Anna. She's Polish and lives in Poland. So aspects of innovation, teamwork, and communication, that's something that we saw coming there, and we need to be prepared. Indeed, I could not agree more. Here's quite some text, and I will not give you time to all the participants to read it, but we will give otherwise the word to Justin to elaborate a little bit upon that. But the slides will be shared with you so that you can have a look at it. Give me 1 second, Justin, and then we come to you to just show Anish, the fifth, who talked then earlier. So his mantra is then learning is the only mantra to pursue in life, and as long you bring your passion and dedication that would be the key to your success. And if there is anything in the sector that is, in the breakbulk sector, it is passion and dedication. But I would like to hear also if you have another question. But while we're doing that, maybe Justin, you can elaborate a little bit on what you added into your slide.
Could you please repeat the question again?
So I wanted that you elaborate a little bit on how you see the future, instead of giving time now that people read the full text on your slide. They can do that when they receive the handouts. But while they are typing their answer, if they have any other question, you can maybe elaborate or share your vision with respect to that.
Or maybe, Justin, what suggestions would you have to these people under 40 looking into the breakbulk market right now? Would there be any suggestions you would like to share to eye-openers for them to learn, whatever?
From my own experience, first of all, I want to say congrats again to all the people who've been nominated for the 40 under 40. It's really a diverse group. It's very encouraging to see this sort of mix of people. I think we need more of this in our industry. And I think that's how you're going to see real change. On the question of what I would suggest for my own journey, my own experience, I feel like, you know, being able to take a step back from your day-to-day activities, take a look at the whole picture, I think is really helpful. When I decided to go back and you know, pursue a second degree, as you mentioned, so many people are doing, I opted for more of a general MBA with the idea that I wanted to see how our business would look from the outside looking in. And I wanted to be with a diverse group outside of my industry. So I worked with EPCs and oil and gas folks and project sponsors and stuff like that. And it really allows you to sort of take a look at what we think is a normal, take a look at what we think is our value proposition, and question whether it's legitimate, whether it is what the different customers or different segments of the industry are looking for or need. And if it's not, how do we change things? How do we really come up with something that's different? One of the things that is still, I think, a question that we need to answer as an industry is that, and I feel that there's great opportunity to innovate and to do things that are different, is, but how are we positioning this to the next generation of young people that are coming in? Because, you know, like I had a colleague, a friend actually, he left the industry last year, and we sat down over a drink and we talked about it. And, you know, so why go on to something else? And it was that for so many years now, it's been up, down, and really for mediocre results overall. So it's not been an easy business to be in. It's something you really have to like. But you also have to acknowledge that there are other growth industries out there, and we are competing for the best and the brightest minds. And we have to make a real case, a real value proposition to these people, why this is a business to get into. Because there are other things out there that are hot, and they're going to be attractive. You know, there are other companies that are offering, you know, stock ownership in growth industries, and we just don't see those types of things in our sector. So I think that's one of the challenges that we have going forward. But I would continue to encourage everyone to push forward with the innovative ideas. If a company is not in a position to adopt or implement the ideas you have, consider starting your own. Do what you did, Philippe, and become an entrepreneur. And you know, bit by bit or collaboratively within our networks, we can change things. I think it's going to continue to be cyclical and very volatile. I think the idea that things are going to be as they were in 2007, 2008 is wishful thinking. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that the companies and the players and people that are going to emerge successful are the ones who are able to be agile, as you indicated, and you know, sustain what is really an unstable market.
Thank you, Justin. Maybe, Christa, I think we are about to get to the end. 3 minutes left, if I'm right. some of the messages I heard here are really interesting, and I think are more than words digging out a little bit further in the future. As Katrine said, we should embrace the future. We can all be the change. Justin agreed. Maybe we should start a little bit more with open communication between the under 40 and the plus 40. And maybe the way of opening up to each other, because the minus 40 still can learn something from the plus 40. And by the way, the old dinosaurs like us, we still can learn a lot from the younger way. But maybe instead of staying in our own and saying, you know, I will find my way, maybe we should open up and embrace as an agile world, the agility of the different people. And I think that's one of the only things to do. Maybe Christa have a debate, a cafe, as we used to have at the university, a debate cafe, and say, you know what, let's mix the audience between minus 40, plus 40. Let's share experience, but also open questions, open things. How can we all together move forward?
I fully agree with respect to that. We did the research for the province of Antwerp, and one of the recommendations, it was about future labor within the coming 10 years, was about intergenerational learning. Yeah. So yes, I am used to organize cafes, and we have then more time to discuss things. So I'm happy maybe to invite, because next will also be, I think, online. Before we go out, because we have 2 minutes left, I would like to congratulate the people who were selected, the 40s under 40. I enjoyed it also, and time went actually very quickly this afternoon, given that there was some dynamics also in the answering and the poll and the discussants who replied. We didn't hear the ladies now any longer, but they were in the beginning of this session. And I also would like to thank you, Philippe, and the organizers for bringing this topic for discussion. And maybe in 2021, if I understood it and recall it correctly, in March 2021, we hope, fingers crossed, that we can see each other live in Antwerp and maybe have a continuation on this topic and see how we improved. I would like to thank you all from the US, Justin, to Dubai, Anish, Belgium, and all the others in the audience. Thank you very much. And I hope that you enjoyed this festival of breakbulk and that you will be there tomorrow. I added already one session as a favorite. My agenda allows that. So thank you very much, and keep it safe and healthy. And I hope to see you soon. It was a good discussion, but live, without a doubt, would have been better, because we could have continued talking with respect to that.
Thank you, everybody. Wish you a wonderful continuation. Stay safe and healthy.
It was very warm ending, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So do we log in from the same ID tomorrow?
I think not. You need to, if you're registered and you go to your, there's a Zoom link then, and I think you need to go over there then.
Okay,
Yeah?
I'll check it out.
Have a look at your registration.
Right, okay.
Okay, see you.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.
See you.